Animals pollinate flowers. Flowering plants make pollen. When pollen is moved from one plant to another, seeds can form. Seeds can grow into new plants. Some animals get food from flowers. Pollen sticks to an animal when it visits a flower for food. The animal pollinates the next flower it visits. Some pollen from the first flower is left on the second flower. Some plants depend on animals for pollination. So you can see here, if you look really closely in our pictures, that the ant here has these little bits of orange dust on them. It almost looks like when you're eating Cheetos and you end up with that orange dust on your fingers. It's kind of similar to that. So these pictures show here ants carrying pollen from one flower to the next flower, and you can see it sticking to its back. This one shows pollen sticking to the moth's feet, and then it'll go to another flower, and again that it'll leave some of the pollen on the next flower. And then hummingbirds pollinate flowers as they collect food as well. And you can see too that they've got this long tongue here that they stick down into the flower, not because they're trying to eat the pollen, but because they're trying to get to the nectar. And the nectar is the food that they get from the flowers. It's kind of like a sweet drink for them. And so they're not there for the pollen, they're there for the nectar, but while they're there, the flower gets the benefit of the pollen getting stuck on the animal, and then the pollen going to another flower to help continue to pollinate so that they can continue to make new seeds. So they kind of help each other here, because the flowers providing nectar for the animals or insects, and the animals are then providing basically transportation of their pollen to a new flower. Save the bees. Do you like strawberries, watermelon? Thanks to bees, we have fruits and other foods to eat. Bees pollinate many plants that make food. Some pollinated flowers transform into fruits that people eat. Dino Martins is a scientist who studies bees and other insects. Problem: Dino Martins is worried. There are fewer bees today than there were in the past. Fewer bees mean fewer fruits and other foods. People need food, so people need bees too. This says the Bronsappus bee is pollinating coriander flowers. People grind and use coriander seeds as a spice. And there are many different kinds of bees. Dino Martins studies them in Africa. Here's the amygdala bee, the stingless bee, and the nomia bee. And here's the carpenter bee. And Dino Martins says, spend 5 minutes a day with an insect. It'll change your life. His work with insects is changing many lives. So remember, our problem is there's fewer bees, which means fewer foods. So here's the solution that Dino Martins has come up with. So Dino Martins wants to help protect bees, and he wants to help other people learn how to protect bees. That way there will be more bees to pollinate flowers. He teaches farmers that bees pollinate crops. Farmers who protect bees harvest more food. We need plenty of food for people to eat. Some bees' habitats have been destroyed. Dino Martins shows people how to make bee houses. Bee houses help bees survive. So remember our problem, that there are fewer bees than there were. And so his solution is to help educate farmers about how to protect bees and how to save them. And another way that he does that is by building these bee houses and putting them on farms so that bees have shelter near the crops that they pollinate. Here's Dino teaching people about types of bees and the ones that help the plants on their farm. And on a field trip, Dino helps students collect insects so that they can look at them up close and better understand them. So you probably have strong feelings about bees. Some people really dislike them because they're scared of them. Some don't like bees because they are allergic to them. But we really need bees. They really help with the pollination of many of our fruits and foods. And so Dino here has spent tons of time trying to help out the bees so that we can sustain our food. So what you're going to do today is you are going to do two things. Just like Dino, you're going to make a poster called Save the Bees, and you're going to use information that you learned today to help convince people to not kill the bees and to make sure that we try to keep the bees safe. And then the second thing you're going to do today is you're going to build your own bee house for bee protection. Now, you're not actually going to make one like this. I'd like you to just use materials from home to make a bee house. So you could use blocks or an old box, cardboard, you could use paper. But I want you to make a home for bees so that you can help protect bees as well.